just sang. And all the things that go crazy wrong in this world, and all the ways that life can fall apart, crumble, and everything can just go haywire. If you have touched Calvary, the blood of Jesus Christ has touched your heart, your soul. The rest of it's going to be all right. Amen? Amen. Amen. Why don't you turn in your Bibles with me this morning to 2 Timothy chapter 1. We're going to read one verse there in just a moment. I titled the message today, Pass It On. Thinking about Senior Adult Day, Grandparents' Day, how we want to refer to this day and think about it. And just thinking about the idea that we all have a responsibility, wherever we are in life, whether we're young, old, somewhere in between, to be doing our part in passing on this faith that is so vitally important to us. And I'm thinking about life in general, and thinking about how many things that people don't know how to do anymore. And, you know, if you were to step back in time 100 years or even 50 years, people had to know how to do a lot of things. You know, all four of my grandparents were born in the 1800s, and they knew how to do stuff because you had to do it. You didn't have money to go get somebody else to do it, and there probably wasn't somebody else around to do it. So you had to make things, you had to fix things, you had to grow things. People had to be more self-sufficient. And as progress has happened, we've become dependent upon grocery stores instead of gardeners. We've become dependent on mechanics instead of the tools that are out in our garage. We've just become dependent. And there's so many things that we don't pass on anymore. And fortunately, we have ways of meeting those needs in our life most of the time. When you stop and think about the things that really matter, the one thing that really matters is passing on faith. And that's nobody's job but ours. We're going to talk about that this morning. 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 5. For I am mindful of the sincere faith within you, which first dwelt in your grandmother Lois and your mother Eunice, and I am sure that it is in you as well. Father, we pause at your word this morning. We stop here at the pen of Paul, the inspiration of your heart as he writes to this young pastor Timothy. And we think about this idea of faith being passed on, the lessons being taught, examples being set. And today, Lord, when we honor those who maybe are a little further down the road than we are, some of those that have gone before us and gone on to glory, and as we think about our continuing role, passing on faith and setting an example for others, Lord, would you help us to see today what you want us to see? Let your Holy Spirit open our hearts. Speak to us, Father, and help us to put into practice that which you show us. I ask your blessing on your word, and I thank you for it. In Jesus' name, amen. So Paul is writing to this young pastor, Timothy. And in the introduction to his letter, he commends Timothy for his faith. He says, I'm thinking about your faith, Timothy, but I'm realizing something important about it, and I'm commending your grandmother and your mother for the example that they set for you as you were coming in. And this is a verse that I have probably preached from on this same Sunday in years past when we honored senior adults, grandparents, things like that. But it's a lesson that we all do well to remember, to be reminded of every now and then. That it is our job to pass on faith. And so I want us to talk about that. The wise, mature, aged Christian. Now, you can be wise without being old. You can be old and not wise. You can be mature without being old. You can be old and not mature. I was so glad that Gil said this morning that the senior adult thing starts at 55. That means I'm not there yet. I guess that makes me still a medium adult, but it's getting really, really close. But the mature thing, now just, because my wife says to people all the time, I have 4 children. If you know my family, we only have 3 children. So I don't know who she's talking about that fourth one is, but I got a feeling sometimes it may be me. But you see, as we grow in faith, and as time passes on, our role and responsibility tends to take on a changing nature. I want to talk about what a wise, mature age Christian will pass on. We talk about passing on faith. Well, what does that mean? How does that come together? How can we do that? Because honestly, you've got to have your own faith. You can't depend on the faith of your father or your mother or your grandmother or your grandfather or anybody else. You've got to have your own. So how do we pass on something that has to become an individual ownership of a person's life? Let me share with you three things that I believe Paul was identifying in Timothy's life that had been passed on from his mom and his grandmother. First off, the wise, mature age Christian will pass on the love of the Father. You've got to pass on the love of the Father. Here's the deal. You cannot pass on something that you don't have. You got to have it in order to pass it on. For example, let me ask you a question. Would you like to have a solid gold pocket watch? I like it. Well, today is the day that I don't have one. I can't give you one. Why? Because I don't have one. That's exactly it. If you're going to pass on the love of the Father, you got to possess the love of the Father. So we got to think about that. What does it mean to possess the love of the Father? Well, there's some elements of that love of the Father that we need to grab and have a hold of. The first is you need to understand the love of the Father. To understand it. Well, what do we need to understand about it? Well, first off, we need to understand that it is undeserved. The love of God the Father is absolutely undeserved. The Bible says that there is no one righteous, no, not one. Nobody. In this room right here, watching on television, listening on the radio, everybody who's in that larger audience, all the folks over in the refuge, as well as the folks down the street at the Methodist Church, and the folks out at Damascus, and the folks out at Franklin, and the folks up at Simmons and Kearney Park, and the folks down at First Baptist Jackson, and the ones over at Broadmoor, folks at First Baptist Dallas, anywhere you can find them, those 2 million people in Mississippi that aren't in church today, you just lump everybody together, the 7 billion people who live on the planet Earth, not one of them deserves the love of God. Amen. It is absolutely undeserved. Now that puts us in a place where we ought to be filled with some gratitude. Because not only is His love undeserved, it's also unconditional. It's unconditional. Aren't you glad? Aren't you glad that we don't look at the Bible and find, here's a set of 10 hoops you have to jump through in order to be loved by God. If you'll do this, and this, and make sure you do this one every day, you'll be loved by God. And if you miss one of those, well, too bad, you're out. No, God's love is unconditional. And the third thing about it is it is unending. Unending. We live in a world where we don't see unending love much anymore. We live in a world where we see a lot of, I don't love you anymore, and I don't want to be a part of this anymore. God's love for us is unending. I absolutely love the story of the prodigal son. You know it. That boy went away and told his dad, look, I just assumed you were dead. I want my inheritance now. I'm going to go out and do my own thing. It says when he came to his senses and started home as he was coming, that his father saw him coming from a distance. You know what that tells me? It tells me that even though that boy had just trampled on everything his father had ever done for him, his father still loved him. It's a beautiful picture of the love that the Father has for us. We got to understand that the Father's love is undeserved, unconditional, and unending, and it's found in relationship with Jesus Christ. That's where we find the love of the Father. So we need to understand it, but we also need to experience it. We need to experience the love of the Father. Because you can understand it in your head, but if you haven't experienced it in your heart, it's really not going very far. So after we understand it, let's experience it. How in the world do we do that? Let me give you 3 places. We experience the love of God in the Word. As you read about God and how He acted and reacted and interacted with the people from the Old Testament and the New. From the time in the garden when He clothed Adam and Eve after the fall and gave them a purpose, to bringing Noah and his family through the flood, to making a covenant with Abraham, to moving in the lives of the children of Israel, all the way up to bringing Jesus Christ, God Himself, into humanity as a man on the cross to die for my sins. And you read about and you start to experience the love of God through the Word. The second place where we experience the love of God is in worship. It's right here. I love what Gil shared about Carl Sagan in his 3 books. Loves the Bible. We experience God's love there. Loves the hymnal. We experience. Listen, if you have never sat in church service, open your mouth and joyfully from the bottom of your heart sang some of those hymns and songs that we sing and just felt the love of God rush over through you, you've missed out on something great. We experience His love as we worship Him. As we tell Him how amazing He is, our heart starts to feel what He's bringing to us. So we experience it in the Word, we experience it in worship, and then thirdly, we experience it on the way. Just what Carl Sagan was saying. As we see Him move, one of the great privileges of serving as the pastor of this church is to see God move in the lives of people. To see Him move in your life. To have those conversations when I hear about what God's doing in your heart and doing in your family and doing in your situation and how He's making a difference. See, we experience God's love as we walk in the way and we see Him interact both in our own life and with others. So, if we're going to pass on the love of the Father, we need to first understand it, we need to experience it, and then we need to share it. We need to share the love of the Father. Now, we got to have it. We got to possess it to be able to do it. But the more you possess of it, the more you can share with someone else. If I had one gold watch, I could share it. If I had 150, I could share it with everybody. The more we have of His love, the more we can share. And we share it. How do we do that? Well, we care about people. We communicate with them. We keep a dialogue open. We sacrifice for them. We help them. We stand up for them. We have their back. We walk with them through trials and difficulties. We rejoice with them when they're on the mountaintop. We cry with them when they're in the valley. We forgive. We move forward together. When we model God's love, it's going to rub off on others. Folks, we are called to share, to pass on the love of the Father. And we need to do that with our children, with our grandchildren, with our people in our Sunday school class, people in our church, with the people that we work with the people that we, see at the family reunion, and it's just rather we didn't. But we need to share it with them too. Pass it on. We need to pass on the love of the Father. Secondly, the aged, mature, wise Christian will pass on a legacy of faith. A legacy of faith. There are a lot of things that I have wanted to teach my children. Our 3 children are all out of the house now. They're still not really to the age where I can't teach them anything. I hope I'm still able to do that. But they're not home anymore. They've flown out of the nest. And there are some things that I feel like that Jenny and I did a pretty good job of teaching them. And there are other things, and I think, man, I wish I would have done a better job of teaching them that. It's funny how when each of them got to the point where they were graduating high school and going off to college, that summer between high school and college, it was like panic set in on me. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, they're fixing to leave, and there's all these things that I have to talk to. I remember taking Hannah out to her car one day in the driveway. And she's like, what are we doing, Dad? I mean, she's sitting inside on her phone or whatever. And I said, come on, come with me out to your car. in trouble? Am I grounded? Did I hit something? So no, I need to teach you how to change a tire. Right now? Yes, right now. We need to, so we get the jack out and we go through all the motions. And I make her do it. It's like, yeah, we really have to get it, change the tire. So many things. So many things. But of all of them, I think what Paul is praising Timothy for here is the legacy of faith. And he's praising Lois and Eunice as he speaks to Timothy about his faith. So, how do we do that? How do we pass on the legacy of faith? Well, three things. First, you got to possess it. You got to possess it. You got to, just like you've got to possess the love of God, you got to possess a sincere faith if you're going to pass it on. And notice that that's exactly the phrase that Paul used. He writes, "For I am mindful of the sincere faith within you." Not the half-hearted faith, not the mediocre faith, not the sometimes faith, the sincere faith. And he says, it first dwelt in your grandmother Lois and your mother Eunice. If we're going to pass on something to our children, our grandchildren, those who are coming behind us, we've got to possess it. So we've got to take a look at our faith and evaluate it. We've got to look at where our heart is. We've got to look at what we believe. We've got to look at what we hold to. We've got to look at what we profess. We've got to take a look at our faith and make sure that it is a sincere faith based on what Jesus did on the cross, nothing else. Charles' song, so fitting this morning, it's all about the Calvary. It's all about the cross. It's all about what Jesus did, that our faith is there. So possess that sincere faith. And then second thing, talk about it. Just talk about it. Be willing and open to talk about your faith. And so many of us miss it here. I can imagine Timothy growing up in his household, hearing his grandmother Lois and his mother Eunice talk about faith. Is there washing clothes? Is there making clothes? Is there working in their garden? Is there out there preparing a meal? Is there sweeping the house? I'm sure there were other things they talked about as well. If they lived here, I'm sure they'd talk about the humidity from time to time. You know, there's things they would talk about, but I just hear, as I look back 2,000 years into that family that was living together as a cohesive unit, I hear them talking about faith. Now, gentlemen, I want you to look at something very carefully with me right here. Who's mentioned in verse 5? Mom, Grandma. Who's not mentioned in verse 5? Daddy, Granddaddy. Guys, we are wired in a way that we, just as a blanket generalization, we don't talk about our faith very much. We'll come to church, we'll drive the car, we'll get us here, we'll fuss at the rest of the family for dragging their feet being late, but we don't talk about our faith a whole lot. I grew up in a household. My mom talked about it in a heartbeat. Daddy hardly ever said a word. He lived it, but didn't really talk about it. Guys, I want to encourage you to learn if you don't already know how to do it. Get comfortable if you're not already comfortable with it. Talk about your faith. I thank God for women who have kept the church going over these hundreds of years when men have been busy out doing their own thing. Guys, talk to your wives about your children, about your faith. Talk to your children about your faith. Talk to your grandchildren about your faith. Get that conversation going. Talk about it. Possess sincere faith. Talk about sincere faith. And the third thing, model sincere faith. I just see Timothy here as he's reading these opening lines from Paul's letter, running back in his mind when he hits what we see in verse 5. Running back and thinking about those times when he saw Lois and Eunice modeling faith before him. I mentioned my grandparents a minute ago, all four of them born in the 1800s. I was a late life child, and that kind of thing. My dad's father died long before I was born. His mother was basically bedridden for as long as I can remember. I have just a few memories of her. My mom's parents, our remember very, very well. We would go to their house. They lived in Lexington, and we go on the weekends, and we go in the summer, and we go spend time with them. And I can have vivid pictures of the singing that was all. My grandmother, she was always singing, and she was singing those hymns of the faith. She wasn't singing things she heard on the radio, because I don't know if she ever turned the radio on. Now, she did watch her stories during the daytime. Y'all know what those are. But on Sunday, we were at church, they were at church, and so she was going around the house and she was singing. We sang that old hymn this morning, When the Roll Was Called Up Yonder. I can remember her in her wavery old lady voice singing When the Roll Was Called Up Yonder. And I can remember her being out in the yard, taking the launder down off the clothesline and singing, Bringing in the Sheaves. And honestly, as a kid, I thought she was singing, Bringing in the Sheaves. Because that's what she was doing, getting the launder down. And I remember my grandfather, who had a big 2-acre garden in the backyard and a long dog pen where he kept his bird dogs that he raised, and a catfish pond back there, and how if he wasn't eating or sleeping, he was whistling. And he was whistling those old hymns, and he loved them. And he served for over 50 years as a Sunday school superintendent at their church. And when Sunday came around, and we were there on the weekend, there was no question about what we were going to do. We weren't getting up and going fishing. We weren't getting up and working in the garden. We were getting up and going to church. And on Saturday night, my grandmother would get our shoes out, and she'd shine them. She'd polish our shoes. And I had a brother, a little older than me, who would say, "Oh, Grandma, there's not any need to be shining my shoes. I have a stomachache every Sunday morning." He still does. But I saw a model as a kid growing up. It wasn't like they sat me down and said, "Now, Joe, you need to understand right now that you got to set Jesus in your heart, because you know you're going straight to hell." It's like they lived it and they talked about it, and it was part of who they were. It was who they were. I saw them model a legacy of faith. And just like a sculptor working on a sculpture who chisels a little away, a little away, and a little away until an image starts to show up, that modeling in a young person's life chips a little way as they start to be formed into the image of Christ. If we're going to pass on a legacy of faith, we need to possess sincere faith. We need to talk about sincere faith, and we need to model sincere faith. I would imagine that Lois and Eunice knew the Shema backwards and forwards. In Deuteronomy chapter 6, it says, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your might. These words which I am commanding to you today shall be on your heart. You shall teach them diligently to your sons, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. You shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be as frontals on your forehead. You shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates." God says to the children of Israel, pass the legacy of faith on to those who are coming behind you. This is a multi-generational goal. If I ever have grandchildren, I hope that one day I will. I hope that my children know that I expect them to model faith before those kids, but I also want them to know that I'm going to be part of that process as well. And I'm going to help model that. We're losing that battle as a nation. 2 out of 3 Mississippians are unchurched. Somebody dropped the ball somewhere, if that's where we are today. We need to pass on the love of the Father. We need to pass on the legacy of faith. And finally this morning, we need to pass on the lessons for the future. Lessons for the future. The lessons we teach today are going to determine the course of the future. And they are right here in God's Word. And we are called to teach them. You know, I started out talking about, sometimes I'm sitting around and I'm just pondering life, and I'm thinking, what would it be like if the grid failed and all of a sudden the electricity was gone and the internet didn't work anymore? I always ask my students, my high school students, at the beginning of each semester, I give them a little sheet to fill out that tells me a little bit about them. You know, what's your favorite food, your restaurant, your team, and vacation location. I asked them this time, I said, what's the one thing you would hate to have to live without? One of them put an internet connection. You know, that's where our world is today. And so I'm sitting around and I'm thinking about, what would happen if all of a sudden there weren't any more electricity, and there wasn't any more internet, and there wasn't any more television, and there wasn't any more radio. You couldn't go to the grocery store and get a gallon of milk, or in my case, 2 gallons, because we never buy one. You know, and you know, there was no meat market, and there were no vegetables anymore, and we all of a sudden were thrown back in time 100 years, and we had to become self-sufficient. You know what would happen? Within a few weeks and months, most people would die. A lot of people would die. Why? People can't do any of those things anymore. We become dependent on other people doing them and other things doing them for us. And that's bad enough. But if the gospel witness were to stop, oh my. Because you see, one way or another, we're all going to die anyway. One thing that matters when that happens is, do we have sincere faith in Jesus Christ? That's what matters for our children. That's what matters for your grandchildren. That's what matters for those 2 million Mississippians who are unchurched today. And you and I have a job to do. We've got to pass on these lessons that need to be learned. So let me ask you some questions for you. The first one is this: what's lacking in your faith? What's the part of your faith that isn't there that needs to be there? Because, you know, we talk about it, if you don't possess it, you can't pass it. All right? So what needs to be there in your faith? Second question, what lessons do you need to pick up? What are the things, these real life lessons, the important things, what are the ones that you need to pick up yourself and incorporate into life and move forward with? Third question, who can you impact? Who is in your world? Maybe that's a child, maybe that's a grandchild, maybe it's a niece, it's a nephew, maybe it's a neighbor, maybe it's a neighbor's kid, maybe it's just a friend of yours. Who can you impact in passing on faith? And the last one, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do about it today? What are you going to do about it tomorrow? When is that conversation going to happen? When is that modeling going to take place? Don't miss an opportunity. You never know when it might be your last. We got a job to do. See that picture up there? That baton that's getting handed off? That's the idea that comes from a relay race. When I was on a track team in high school, they never let me hold one of those. They let me hold things that you could throw. They didn't let me do anything that involved running. I don't even know why they called me being on the track team, because they never let me go close to the track. But I watched some of those races. And here's what happens. If one runner, in the process of handing that baton to the next runner, drops it, the race is over. There's no stopping and picking it up and going on. It's over. Folks, if we drop the baton on passing on faith, it may be over for the person we were supposed to pass it on to. We got to be sure we're doing our part in passing that baton. Father, I pray that you strengthen us for it. I pray, God, that you would give us a heart after you. I pray that your love would so invade our hearts and our lives that we can't help but talk about the amazing love that you have for us and what you're doing in us and what you want to do through us. Lord, I pray that you'd give us a passion for passing on faith. I pray that our faith would be strengthened. I pray that it would infest every part of our lives so that we are who you want us to be. Now, we're going to fall short in that process, Father. Please forgive us. Teach us to learn from our mistakes, to move forward, to go forward in strength and in your power, and to be better than we were before. Some of us are here today and feeling like maybe we dropped that baton. Lord, you let us pick it up and go again. So if that's what we need to do, I pray, God, that you make it happen. And that we work with you everywhere you want to work. Right in our lives. your word. I pray that the lessons we glean from it